Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, June 21, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, and Davis is present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Shram Karagani, Los Angeles Sanitation.
Good morning, Patricia Chang, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, John Ollinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Craig Shaw, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Dr. Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we have no speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and we also did not receive any speaker cards for today's agenda.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Agenda item number 1, we have bids to be received on the North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 1 project. Dr. Campos on agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The bids to be received today is for the North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 1 at Van Ness Avenue and Western Avenue. The city has estimated this project to be at $8,487,380, and this is in Council District Number 8. We received 5 bids in total. The first bid to be open is from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company for a total bid amount of $10,178,300 even. That's 10178,300 from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company. The second bid is from Spinello Companies for a total bid amount of $6,969,658 even. That's 6969658 from Spinello Companies. The third bid is from Mladen Buntich Construction Company Incorporated for a total bid amount of $7,407,340 even. That's 7407340 from Mladen Buntich Construction Company Incorporated. The fourth bid received is from Colich & Sons LP for a total bid amount of $8,980,473 even. That's 8980473 from Colich & Sons LP. The fifth and final bid for this project is from JR Pipeline Company Incorporated for a total bid amount of $9,831,985 even. That's 9831985 from JR Pipeline Company Incorporated. President James, that concludes the bid openings for today's item.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to my motion declaring that the bids are opened and received? By Commissioners Repenning and Rivas. Any objection? With that objection, that will be the order. Agenda items 2 through 8 are assessment hearings in Council Districts 6, 14, 11, 7, 2, 10, and 1. Mr. Flamenco on agenda items 2 through 8.
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 2 to 8 pertain to lighting districts, which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Ballots for items 2 to 8 were mailed on May 10, 2017. Ballots for items 2 to 8 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, June 28th. We have not received any objections to date on items 2 to 8. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 2 to 8 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions on agenda items 2 through 8? No objections on those items. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda items 2 through 8, seconded by Commissioner Rivas. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda items 2 through 8. Any issue in sending 2 through 8 forthwith? We'll send numbers 2 through 8 forthwith. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, June 2nd, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve the meeting minutes from June 2nd, 2017. We have a certificate of recognition. Commissioner Davis, are you ready for the certificates of recognition for the 2017 Small Business Summit? We will turn the podium over to our colleague, Commissioner Mike Davis.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and colleagues and leaders of the Board of Public Works for the great city of Los Angeles. It's an honor for me to be here today to give recognition really in line with some of the leadership we have received here in the city of Los Angeles. You often hear me talk about the mayor's back to basic principles, and the very first of those principles is to promote good jobs for Los Angeles all across Los Angeles. And in it, he specifically says, make it easy to do business in Los Angeles and nurture small businesses. To that end, I'm here today to recognize an effort that has been made for small businesses. I also, before I go into the specific recognition today, want to talk about our own vision here in the Bureau of Public Works, the Department of Public Works. Among the things that are part of our vision is the statement that we in Public Works honor diversity of all of our customers and deliver quality services that meet individual neighborhoods and community needs. We are flexible and responsive. We listen to our customers, and we make public participation an integral part of our open decision-making processes. We welcome being held accountable for the quality and efficiency of products and services we provide, and our standard of excellence is measured by the satisfaction of our customers, among many of the other statements that are part of our vision. To that end, the work that we have recently been doing to include small businesses is something that today I recognize and had the opportunity to attend the 2017 Small Business Summit, which is one among many activities that we do that took place down the street at the Los Angeles Hotel, and it was in cooperation with the mayor's office, the Los Angeles World Airport, and several small business groups. This is particularly important as we talk about increasing minority and women business opportunities here in the city of Los Angeles. This event that I happened to have attended was very well attended by potential small businesses in the city of Los Angeles, women-owned businesses inclusive. And it was at least over 350 small women and minority-owned businesses of all different persuasions that were there. So to this end, I want to recognize the work that was done. This was above and beyond what we do on our own in contract administration, but was provided leadership by one of the civil engineers who often bids on projects but is more involved in the profession of what they do in civil engineering for those who are independent and do work with our city. Additionally, I want to commend one of our own city employees who works with the economic development, the deputy mayor of economic development. This is not something that they generated themselves, but it is certainly the kind of service that they provided at creating opportunities for those who wanted to better engage in getting information from us. And they did an outstanding job. So to this end, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize first a woman-owned business and a woman civil engineer, Amine Livingston, who helped to coordinate the Small Business Summit along with the mayor's office at the Los Angeles Hotel. This is a copy of the journal that they did. It's a souvenir book that outlines the various professionals throughout Los Angeles County who participated. And they did such an outstanding job. I wanted to recognize them briefly today. Amane Livingston, I'd like for you to come up. She is a civil engineer and minority woman-owned business. I'd like to recognize her. She was the coordinator. And then likewise, I'd like to recognize our staff. I know they often get paid to do what we ask them to do, but sometimes staff volunteers above and beyond what we ask them to do to help others. And that is exactly what has happened in the case of Ron Lowe, who comes from the Deputy Mayor's Office of Economic Development, and this is exactly what they should be doing. And I'd like Ron to come up to be recognized for assisting us. If we are ever to increase our numbers, we're going to have to increase the interest and the motivation of people in Los Angeles to compete and to bid. And in doing so, we're going to have to implement projects that give more information to people so that they will be motivated to compete for jobs as subcontractors as well as those who might be joint ventured. I'd like to have brief remarks from both Amane and Ron in terms of their coordination and leadership on the very successful Small Business Summit that we had.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mike Davis. I really appreciate it. Good morning. My name, again, is Amane Livingston. I'm the President and CEO of O2 Engineering Projects and Construction Management, Inc., O2 EPCM. I am a civil, environmental, and structural engineer. On behalf of the Small Business Summit Group, Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit organization, it is my pleasure to report to you today that the 2017 Annual Small Business Summit was a great success. We had over 350 people in attendance, and the Small Business Summit Group, in partnership with the City of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti's office and the City of Los Angeles World Airport, participated with Southern California public agencies and private owners, small and large businesses, spotlighted challenges confronting the industry, and provided proven solutions to firms seeking effective ways to win projects and do business. To address these challenges, the opportunities, key leaders, agencies, large and small businesses, communities were gathered for the one-day summit that took place, and a more proactive role in developing and coordinating a progressive plan to help strengthen diverse businesses to win work. This summit took a critical new focus on strengthening diverse businesses to win work. The full-day revolutionary summit created a one-of-a-kind resource for small, diverse, disadvantaged, disabled veteran business enterprises which look to thrive in today's competitive economy. I was honored and thrilled to be the first Small Business Summit chair for 2017. This summit focused on connecting professionals to share advice and best practices to win together work to provide value creating opportunities for each of the participants. We recognize that there is increasing work in the industry now than any of us can ever handle or hope to handle. As the nation pursues economic recovery and return to job creation and growth, the Small Business Summit Group, Inc., which again is a nonprofit organization, partnered with small businesses, financial and government agency communities to unleash the power of small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs. It is difficult to ignore the global economic growth in the engineering and construction industry and its certain impact on capital budgets and projects going forward. This summit was an opportunity and an advantage for participants to improve at a rapid pace. We provided a remarkable agenda full of thought-provoking sessions and aspiring activities, as well as networking opportunities. Participants gave small and disadvantaged businesses access to decision makers at agencies across Southern California and an understanding of the processes to work with them Participation in this event served as a blueprint for engaging the largest growing segment of the business itself, small and diverse business pioneers whose talents greatly contribute to our growing region. It will be, I just want to say thank you. Our thanks to many people for helping make this 2000 Small Business Summit happen. In particular was, of course, Ron Lowe, who is here with us from the city of Los Angeles. And of course, I will be amiss not to mention Commissioner Mike Davis and of course, Commissioner Heather Repenin for supporting us too as well, and others. Thank you again for your support and for this recognition. We greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to holding the Small Business Summit annually with the city and other agencies, along with small business and large businesses in the future. Thank you again for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Livingston. Mr. Lowe.
Hi, my name is Ron Lowe, and I'm a manager of small and minority business in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. One of our charges, and our main charge, is to bring a lot of the businesses that are located into the LA area into the city for procurement. We recently submitted a proposal for a nationwide city accelerator program where they picked 5 cities to work on organizing procurement for economic inclusiveness. And we're actually embargoed from it. They won't be announcing it until tomorrow. So I can't tell you today that we were one of the 5 cities picked. So just want you to know that. But we'll be working on this very hard over the next year. We'll be working with 5 other cities, and you'll hear something more about it in the next coming days. So I also bring you greetings from the Mayor's Office of Economic Development and Mayor Garcetti as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Repenning.
I just wanted to thank both of you, Amine and Ron, for your work. Thank you, Commissioner Davis, for doing this today. I had the pleasure to attend the recent event. It was really well attended, a great group of people. I actually asked when I was speaking, raise your hand if you're a small business, and the room was filled. So exactly the audience that we're trying to get as we really look to engage a diverse group of businesses in our city. So thank you for the work it took to put this together. But more than that, I mean, it's not just this event. Both of you are just warriors for business engagement in our city and making sure that the money that we're spending is not just to build projects or to deliver services, but the money that we're spending should serve multiple purposes, including serving as an investment and a catalyst into our neighborhoods, our communities, making sure that those dollars go to support the businesses that provide jobs for our communities and that make LA a vibrant economy for all. So thank you both for your dedication on the larger mission, and I look forward to working with you both on many more occasions.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. And let me just say, Ms. Livingston, thank you for the work that you do, especially in the field in which you operate. And may you continue to grow and prosper. And I love that you are working so closely with us to just grow the pool of kind of our workforce that's so important to our amazing cities. So your recognition well deserved today, and we're very pleased to hear of your involvement and your leadership in this whole process. Mr. Lowe, it's good to see you, sir. I see you in the hallways regularly, and it's great to have you in here, being honored by the board and recognized for your work today. And I'll keep a secret on the embargo for tomorrow. But we're thrilled to hear about it. And again, our partnership with our acronyms around here with MOED, with the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, gets stronger every day. It started out that way, and there's the news reports are are out there even today to prove it. So we're very excited to see that to continue. Thank you for your leadership. Commissioner Davis, my colleagues, and Commissioner Repenning, thank you both for your work on this. And Commissioner Rivas, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Livingston. It's great to see a fellow woman engineer taking the lead, and I know you're a small business and you're helping other small businesses as a volunteer, so it's great that you're doing that. We really appreciate that. I know you must have a lot of work to do running your own business, and you're still out there helping others, so it's great. And Mr. Lowe, thank you for telling us your secret and something we're not supposed to know today. It's very exciting, and it's nice to know ahead of time the good news. And Commissioner Davis, thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you. So what we'll do, we'll take just a brief recess. Commissioner Davis, if we could take a quick photograph, and then we'll be back on our agenda. So we'll be right back. Thank you. We are headed back to our agenda. A couple of housekeeping items. I understand, Dr. Campos, that agenda item number 10, there's been a request to withdraw by the Bureau of Engineering, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And agenda item, give me a minute. Do we have an AGF in CD 14 today?
No, we do not.
I don't see it. Okay, because I thought we had one to continue to the 28th, but we don't. Okay, let's go to agenda item number 9. Above ground facility variance in CD 13, 200 South Reno Street. Recommending the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code, Section 6208VB. And secondly, authorize Mobility LLC to install a 42-foot, 2-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 200 South Reno Street. Mr. Ledoux on number 9.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work for the Bureau of Engineering Central District. This is a mobility application for the small cells. It involves one monopole, 42 feet 2 inches. It is in a residential area that has a lot of large apartment complexes. It is in CD 13 Mitchell Farrell's district, and they are remaining neutral on this one. There were no appeals, and I received no emails or phone calls or letters pro or con on this particular item.
Is Shannon here?
Yes, she is.
Okay, good. Shannon, I'm going to guess that the co-location issues on this structure in CD 14 are the same that we had on the last one in CD 13, but just so the record's independently clear, would you summarize the co-location efforts on agenda item number 9?
Sure, absolutely.
And you just put your full name into the record.
Hi, my name is Shannon Nichols. I am the permitting manager for Mobility LLC. We looked at the area and within the search ring, and the light poles in the area most of them were outside of the search ring. There's not many light poles in the area. They were also significantly lower, 10 to 12 feet lower than the height we needed. all the utility poles in the area were high transmission lines, and there are no DOT poles within the vicinity.
Okay, recognizing the same issues that we have, that we're working on a daily basis, any other questions on agenda item number 9? I don't have anything further. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 9. Is there a second on number 9, Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Let's go to Nazario Saceda, our Director for the Bureau of Street Services, on a 25-year service retirement award for Ron Lorenzen on a day that I selfishly hoped might wait another year or two. But Ron, at least you got us through our first term. So thank you for that. Mr. Saceda, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Board of Public Works Commissioners, Bureau Executives, and of course, City Attorney and Executive Officer. Today it's a very, 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 very special day for the Bureau of Street Services. I think today is the perfect marriage between happiness and sadness. I think personally, I haven't had this feeling for a long time. I think it's like one of those cases, one of those days, as the commissioner mentioned, that you don't want to happen. Despite the fact that you want the best for someone like Ron, it is inevitable to feel a little selfish and say, no, don't go. But we all feel that it is the right time. Ron has made that decision, right? And now we need to honor his decision and put him on the right path so he can be, happy in the next phase of his life. Perhaps the most important and the happiest part of his life and career. So what can I say about Ron? I mean, I know we don't have 10 days to talk about Ron, but I would just try to summarize Ron and his history, his tenure in the Bureau of Street Services. Of course, Ron is a Valley boy. We know that, He grew up in the Valley and especially in North Hollywood, along Satsuma Avenue, right? I mean, the 50s, just picture those days, happy days, and I'll leave it to Beaver, kind of neighborhood, right? He was one of those kids, on the bike. Yeah, exactly. But eventually Ron had to grow up and be more serious and, of course, look for a job, right? And that's how we ended up with Ron, right? Ron came to the Bureau 25 years ago and came after working in the private sector. It's not like the city was his first job. So he had a good taste of what it is to work for the man or the boss or, the way we call him in the private sector. But in reality, Ron didn't feel his call until he came to the city, because if there's someone that epitomizes or embodies, the term serving, that would be Ron. Ron has been once again the epitome of what we call customer service. He doesn't care about if it's Saturday, if it's Sunday, if it's night, if it's morning. He's there for the customer. In this case, the 4 million residents in the city of LA and all the stakeholders that, despite the fact that they don't reside here in LA, they complain and they, scream as loud as the residents, right? And we understand that feeling, right? But Ron has been that pillar, that column where, we always put up the majority of our customer service, X, if you want to call it like that. 4 words define, in my opinion, Ron from his work-related world: responsiveness, innovation, efficiency, and accountability. When Ron became the assistant director of the Bureau of Street Services, he became, the example, the model for those 4 words. And he made sure that the divisions under him We're going to be efficient, accountable, innovative, and of course, responsive. I don't know. We have named Ron so many names. We gave him so many names, so many nicknames. You know, we called him the street tree gladiator, the paladin of the urban forest. There are terms to define Ron, but in reality, Ron is very difficult to put him in a shelf and say, this is Ron. It is so difficult. It is so difficult for me right now to explain how much he's going to be missed in the Bureau of Street Services. You know very well that he defined a lot of the sidewalk policy that nowadays is being, approved and enacted, right? You know that he's been instrumental in protecting the urban forest for LA to give the future generation of Angelinos a nice and healthy urban forest, right? He's been the pillar, the foundation, and the ceiling of all the rules, regulations, and policies that in 10 years or 15 years from now, through our sustainability plan, tree sustainability plan, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, people will say, thank you, Ron, for thinking about this 20 years ago. Today, just a handful of people understand the contributions that Ron has made. But 20 years from now, 25 years from now, someone will say, who was the crazy guy that came up with all these great ideas? And then we'll see the picture of Ron, smiling and saying thank you for everything that he was allowed to do while he was here with the Bureau of Street Services. So again, Ron, on behalf of the past and present employees of the Bureau of Street Services, I cannot say thank you enough to you. Personally, of course, you and I have worked together so much, defining and fighting a lot of challenges, looking for solutions, looking for answers, right? We spent a lot of, days, long nights talking about a lot of things, and it is very difficult for me personally to let you go, and I mean that, in a nice way, because again, you have become an intrinsic part of the Bureau of Street Services, the Department of Public Works, and the entire city of Los Angeles. So congratulations. I can only wish you a lot of health, because the rest is up to you. And I hope God blesses you and gives you, all the things that you deserve, because you've done a lot unselfishly for the city of LA, and I think it's your turn now. So congratulations, Ron. We appreciate everything you've done, and I wish you and your family, and of course I want to thank the family, because without the family support, a lot of what we do for the city wouldn't happen. Right? The family needs to be behind us all the time. And I want to thank Pam and Ron's children and grandchildren for always being understanding and supportive. So thank you, Ron. Congratulations. We hope to see you around. I know you're moving out of town, but we hope to see you around. And again, don't be a stranger. We're going to miss you. We love you, and be happy. All right?
Commissioner Davis.
Well, Ron, it's good to see that you have made it to the end of the rainbow, and you're going to leave away with the prize while you can still enjoy it. I'm very happy and pleased and thrilled for you and your career. You have been an exemplary leader in one of perhaps our most dynamic departments. And everyone knows that when people call us, often in Public Works, they're calling us to make sure that the sidewalks are repaired, that the streets are paved, and most of all, and for those particularly homeowners, they want to make sure that those trees are trimmed. And there has been no one as dedicated and committed to know all that you need to know about trees than has been you. I learned so much sitting here at this table about our urban forestry, in terms of the fact that in Los Angeles we have more urban forestry perhaps than any other city in the nation. And so you were just such an expert of that. I appreciate your leader, Nazario, telling us about the Leave It to Beaver analogy, because as a student of Leave It to Beaver, having gotten my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as a kid, I can truly say that you were not Beaver, the little brother that was trying to get it right. And no, you weren't Eddie Haskell,
who misled us and was trying not to do the work and avoiding work. You truly were Wally, the big brother. You were responsible, and we could always count on you to get things done. Whenever I had a constituent who had some street services concern, and that was every week almost, I could count on sending you an email and not even worrying that when I got back to the office that it had been done. So in terms of public service, you are an exemplar, not only for those in the Street Services Bureau, but throughout this entire department in terms of leadership, how to get things done. I often complain that sometimes some of the folk in the department, when I call and refer something to them, tell me why we can't do it for about an hour. And I always say within that hour we could have gotten it done. But with you, I'm so proud that you have set the way and the example. And again, I wish you the very best. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rivas.
Ron, like your passion for urban forestry is evident every time you present here at the board, and that's what I've learned from you in my time here. And I'm sure your work is going to continue. You know, today is not the last day of your work. You know, your legacy is going to be part of, public works and street services for years to come. So I hope you enjoy your retirement, and thank you for your family for being here today, and welcome to them. And hope to see you around. Even I know you're leaving, but I hope you visit us sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Commissioner Repenning.
Ron, it is really going to be, you're going to be missed. So you're just, you're not someone that is easily replaceable. Your whole demeanor, your height, your sense of humor. I think that the thing that for me really stands out about you is how much you truly care about the work that we do. And I know a lot of us at the city are mission driven and take the mission to heart. But you, more so than most people that I've come across in my time at the city, you just genuinely really are invested in the work that we do. I know you care about trees, but even more than that, you care about people. And to your family, thank you for sharing him with us for all these years. And we hope that you have some good times in the years to come. I'm kind of at a loss for words, but thank you for being you, and please come visit.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. One of the privileges of being the president of the Board of Public Works is I get to decide if I go last, and I'm going to go last. Joan Pellico from CD5 wants to say something. Joan?
Thank you. Hello, Mr. President, honorable commissioners. Bear with me. You know, there's some people it's really easy to say goodbye to. And you kind of want to say, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. But Ron Lorenzen, I can't even look at you, is one of a kind. There is not a bureaucratic bone in his body. He doesn't have to talk to the chief of staff to go through the titles, who he'll talk to, who he won't talk to. He will talk to the council aide. He will talk to the field deputy, the district director. He probably would talk to the custodian staff if he could help them with something and they asked a question. I started 12 years ago. It was the storms of 2005. We remember them well. And Ron was there every step of the way, but not only for the council office, for his department, and for the citizens of this great city. Maya Angelou, one of my favorite quotes, People will not remember what you said. They won't remember what you did for them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And Ron, you've always made us feel like we mattered, like you cared, we were important. I have a very special place in my heart for the men and women, my brothers and sisters of the Bureau of Street Services. Many of them not bureaucrats either, which I really do appreciate. And Ron was my inspiration. He was my motivation. I came up from a whole different industry. It was about customer service, so I'm pretty good at customer service, but Ron was even better. And you always knew if Ron said no, it really couldn't be done. It just couldn't. So Councilman Paul Corrett, who just honored him in council, is going to miss him. My staff will miss him. I know all the council offices will miss him. I will miss you so much, my go-to guy. And you know when you have a leader, when you see the rest of the team, and he has been the captain. So I know we're in good hands because we do have Tim Tyson, we have Hector Banuelos, we have Ronald Tull, we have Kelly Lewis, and so many more who have been watching. So Ron, I think I might hide in your trunk. And just, there's got to be a city hall in South Carolina. But anyway, Pamela, thank you for sharing your husband with us and to your family and your beautiful grandchildren. I could go on and on, obviously. And unlike Nazario, I'm happy to be selfish and say, could you just give us another, when am I going to retire? 5.5 years, about 5.5 years. So thank you for allowing me to speak. And Ron, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Joan, and thank the councilman as well. You know, Ron, today I thought you were leaving the city. All of these retirements are hard for us. I've joked for years now. Sometimes people who don't necessarily aren't familiar with my sense of humor think I'm serious when I talk about a moratorium on retirements. But once again, I've found another violator of my moratorium on retirements. Going to have to figure out an enforcement tool for that. But for me, I thought maybe I needed to prepare remarks today, and then I decided not to. Let me just say, I think you probably know this, but you are one of, you are the expert at the technical nuts and bolts of a presentation before the Board of Public Works, which means, and I've sat here now for 4 years, almost to the day, and I've watched you time and time and time again. I can see your thought process as you address the challenges, some of them known, some of them unknown, which makes you the Perry Mason of presenters at the Board of Public Works. And just some of the more memorable hearings, most of them around tree removals. You grabbed my arm. We were here for the last board meeting of Valerie Lynn Shaw. And Valerie, of course, had been on the board for 17 years, and we were just about to take our seats, and it was her last board meeting, and very well attended. I was here that day, and you told me that the most difficult, but more importantly, the most emotional issues that we would have to deal with were trees. I did not believe you at the time. I might have acted like I believed you at the time, but I did not believe you at the time. although it was less than a year in when I knew that you were right. And I've told you that numerous times. And it will always be the case here for anyone, myself or any of our successors that sit in these chairs. To that end, you created an air of confidence in the work that we do related to the quality of life for so many people in the city of Los Angeles, countless people in the city of Los Angeles. Trees relate directly to the beauty of their community, the pride of their community, the environmental safety of their community. And that's why it is such an emotional issue. That's just a portion of why it's such an emotional issue. And I know that there have been excellent people that came along before you and served in your role, whether by title or by practice, of Chief Forester for the city of Los Angeles. I can't imagine that anyone has had a more profound footprint, thumbprint, impact on the positive elements of tree policy in the city of Los Angeles, which means, because as Commissioner Davis pointed out a few minutes ago, that it has that same impact across the country, because I don't know of any other municipality that has the scope of tree canopy that our incredible city has. So your impact is national, and as is your reputation in your field. You became quickly my go-to person for everything at the Bureau of Street Services, and I had to learn to not overburden you with everything. And when you're a new person in this job, sometimes you lean unfairly on one person, and I've learned to give you some relief along the way, and other people have stepped up in terrific fashion as well. As Joan mentioned, Nazario has built a good bench. We want to continue doing that with succession planning in the city of Los Angeles. And I know that you'll be a phone call away. I had originally hoped that we could get you on 120 days, which means you can come back to the city for 120 days after you've left in a consultant role. That's going to be a little difficult with you in South Carolina, so I'm learning to accept that. And what I said regarding the tree canopy, that was really much of your career as I understand it. You also contributed the same amount of importance to the shaping of the sidewalk repair plan in the city of Los Angeles. That will also continue in your absence as you leave the employment of the city. And the sidewalk repair plan, which has a 30-year life, and indeed will very likely continue as it should beyond 30 years. Your fingerprints are all over that as well in a very positive way. When you came in and gave us the first Arc of Life lecture for trees, I know I asked you to do that over and over and over again. Anytime I had a tough, controversial tree issue that our board was going to have to make a difficult decision on, and a painful decision for many of my colleagues, which I knew was painful for them, the Arc of Life lecture that you would provide for the record and for the constituents for trees left us many times with no choice. And that was an important place to be in for people like us that have to make these decisions in the face of opposition. I don't know how many times, I can't count them, that we needed someone in the community, meaning we needed to take an expert from City Hall and put them in sometimes a viper pit, of opposition in the community. And Ron was always one of the first ones that we would call on. Sometimes we had to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. But Ron was always on the team, and you never, ever, ever said no. As Joan mentioned, if Ron Lorenzen says no, it cannot happen in the city. And there were so many times that you found us a way to get to yes. Tomorrow, in Council District 12, we are going to be breaking ground on a sidewalk repair concept near a school in Granada Hills that several people, prior to the time it landed on your desk, couldn't quite find a way to get it done. And we brought you into that challenge, and we're breaking ground tomorrow. I'm probably going to get some credit for that. The credit belongs with you. That takes me to my next point about you. Something that other people have heard me say about you and some of your colleagues in other bureaus, but you're one of them. When you sit in this role, it's very important to have city employees, particularly employees in city leadership, that instantly instill confidence in their work and in the work that we're doing and in what you are presenting. And your knowledge and your expertise lends you to and gives you the ability to provide complete confidence to us. I have had many private conversations with Ron over the last few years, pleading with him, not teasing him, pleading with him, sometimes serious, sometimes not, depending on the attitude of the conversation, trying to convince Ron not to retire. I was doing that selfishly for myself and for the Board of Public Works, but also for the City of Los Angeles. Heather was serious, and I think those are the most prominent words spoken. Everybody here has said it, so I will echo. You will be missed. And I've already started to miss you because I know that I've had to wean myself off of your expertise that I took advantage of for so many years. I do want to say thank you because I would always negotiate with Ron. I would say, well, get me to year 3. Now get me to the first term. Well, you got us through the first term. And unfortunately, I would like for you to get us through the second term. But I see now that's not going to be possible. So let me just say to you, congratulations in your career. I was on the committee that made the personnel decision to promote you, and that was a very well-deserved promotion, and I'm honored that I got to serve on that committee and I got to be a part of that decision because that was very beneficial for the city. I only wish that I had the opportunity to sit on another committee to consider another promotion of you because that would mean that you are staying. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your good work. Thank you for your friendship. Ron's always one that was nice to me about Oklahoma football. Nazario's mean to me about Oklahoma football, but Ron was nice to me about Oklahoma football, and fortunately the team's good enough that you can't tease me a whole lot about it. And your friendship to me over these 4 years has been very, very valuable to me, and also your willingness to be a mentor to me. You have been a mentor to me on so many issues. I've learned from you in so many ways. I've had a very lucky and diverse career. And Ron, you are one of the, from the law firm to the radio station to the U.S. Attorney's Office, all of these amazing people that I got lucky enough to work with, you are in the top of interesting and fascinating and smart and pleasure to be around. And I'm really glad that you came along in these years of our collective careers. So I know I've gone on way too long, but your work here has been just that important to the Board of Public Works, and that I just wanted everybody to know it. So thank you. We will miss you. And what time is the thing this afternoon at the Bureau of Street Services? 1:30. 1:30. Okay. I'll try and only to take half as long at the with all of your employees there. But it was just well deserved, Ron. Thank you, sir. I don't know what else to say, but congratulations. And one more thing. I'm thrilled to see you and your family here, and to see your lovely wife and meet your daughter and see your grandkids, and for you to have the best retirement in good health, sir, because I know you know that that days are gifts, and I really want you to have just the happiest and healthiest long retirement, and definitely stay in touch. Thank you. And if I've left you any time, please chat with us for a second.
I'll be real. Well, thank you, President James, Commissioners, Nazario, everybody that has said these words, that it's hard to describe how humbled I feel about having all these accolades heaped upon me. My wife knows, and I think my kids know, that I don't take thanks very well. I would rather thank other people and just do the things that I need to do to fulfill the responsibilities that have been given to me and have been expected of me. This is a bittersweet moment. I have spent a lot of my career at this horseshoe. Actually, Valerie and I began sitting around this horseshoe at the same time. So it's been about 21 years since I started attending board hearings and representing the Bureau here at this chamber. In fact, for a long time, the Urban Forestry Division, because we had so many things here, actually was the representative for the Bureau. So I was here 3 days a week for many, many years. I just can't thank you for the sincere thanks that you've heaped upon me. I'm just humbled beyond your imagination by what you've said. I will say real quickly what I said in the chambers. I have been blessed by God to have the opportunity to work at this city, and I truly mean that. And I have not just worked here, but I have tried to serve here. And I have always said that I won't leave here until that day that I don't want to come to work that day. And I will tell you that day has never come. I am leaving here now because it's time in my life to do so. I am at that backside of my life now. I like to think I look young, but I turned 65 the other day. And so it is that time for me to open up another chapter and to maybe have some time for myself, because I've spent most of my life serving this city and other people. And it's been my pleasure to do so. I want to thank my children, my grandchildren, my beautiful wife, my beautiful daughter. I want to thank the director of the Bureau, Israel Saceta. I want to thank those who came today from the Bureau. I want to thank the council officers that worked with me, with the staff, with the previous commissioners, all of the staff that have worked all these years here at the Board of Public Works. I really feel like I even have joked that really my home is here. It's not down the street at the Bureau, because I spend so much time in these chambers. And I sincerely will miss the interaction here. I really have enjoyed it. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy being at the mic. I hope that has shown in addressing some of the many extremely difficult issues that we've had to deal with here at the Board of Public Works. I will end by just giving thanks to God for blessing me for everything in my life, because I couldn't do anything that I do without that. And just my sincere thanks.
Thank you, Ron Lorenzen. Yeah, Nazoria, because I'm not sure everybody's going to be at the event this afternoon, so let's take a quick photograph over here, Ron, with your family. Yeah, and then we'll go back to our agenda. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for your patience. Let's get back on the agenda. We have another housekeeping item. There's a request that we continue agenda item number 11 to Wednesday, July 12, 2017. So that's correct, Dr. Campos?
That is correct. That's a
Okay, so
request from
that
AT&T.
will be continued to Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. I know additional work is being done on that one as well. Agenda item number 12, Council District 6, request to appropriate funds from the Public Works Trust Fund number 834-50 for the Japanese Garden, recommending that the board approve an appropriation of, is this $250,000, Dr. Campos?
Yes, it is.
Okay. To account 5000BC in the Public Works Trust Fund number 834, Department 50, from funds received in the Department Revenue Source 493405 for the Japanese Garden Program approved expenditures. Mr. Green on number 12.
Good morning, Gene Green, Japanese Garden, Elisan, commissioners, other members, representatives. We'll meet before noon, I hope. So I'm number 12, which I'm happy I'm not last word change. So I'm before you now is basically our appropriations account has gone to about $4,000 left to pay the bills. It was appropriated in 2008 and it rolled over until recently. We did the research on how to roll over again and we couldn't find it. So we're asking the Board of Public Works to appropriate the $250,000 for basically our program to be able to pay the bills. Bills include things the advisory group votes on, our gift shop, our events, and we're working on a few projects. So this will last us hopefully the next 4 to 5 years.
Gene, if you said it, I didn't hear it, but I think it's important for the record to reflect that the last appropriation from the Public Works Trust Fund was 9 years ago, back in 2008, correct?
Correct. In 2008, the Office of County and myself and others looked into how it was appropriate at that time. They weren't electronic records back at that time. We can go back to search. It was rolled over every year from 2008 to, it was rolled over every year till we don't know when it stopped. And all of a sudden this stopped. We used the money at that year and it's now down to $4,000. So we're appropriating to the same account to continue to pay the invoices and bills we get.
Okay. And yes, Mr. Campos.
Yeah, and if I could, just Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, just to clarify and just put some more context. The appropriation just allows us to pay the bills. It doesn't authorize the actual payment of the bill, but just the vehicle in which we can pay the bill. Every time there is an expenditure, the Japanese Garden has to comply by its bylaws. In some cases, if it's certain above a certain limit, i.e. $5,000, it needs to come before the board for an actual approval before we can actually pay that bill. The appropriation just gives us the authority to actually pay the invoice as a vehicle.
You're basically creating the funding mechanism.
It's a mechanism for funding.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Rivas.
Yeah, from what I understand, the $250,000 is coming from the Japanese Garden Trust Fund account, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that is money that is generated, revenue generated by the garden through rentals and admission.
Filming.
And filming.
Things,
So
yes,
all this money is revenue that is brought in from the garden, right?
Correct. There's no other general funds or
Yes,
special
it's
funds
not coming
involved
from
in
any
the
other
trust
fund or
That
any
is
other
correct.
source, right? So I think it's great that the garden is generating its own revenue to provide more programs for the community. And I know in recent years we've had, or this past year we had 40,000 visitors to the garden.
Yes, we spent 40, it's almost going to be 42,000 and 44 this
42,000?
year.
42,000.
So, yeah.
And we charge $5.
$5 for general admission, $3 for seniors and children. Children under 5 are free. Schools are always free. School tours, we're just trying to get the schools to us. So we're trying to find a mechanism to get busing
Yes.
maybe through the trust fund. I don't know how we can do this thing. Everyone wants to come, but it's a mechanism we can't get them to us. We have volunteers and docents, over 48 of them. The docents would love to get more tours in the morning, Monday through Thursday. So if we can find a way to work together to get the children to us more, we're ready.
Yeah, and I think the garden is not only it's a beautiful and a great place to visit and to relax, but also an opportunity to learn of how our water reclamation plant works and to provide more water education, like you said, to school children and to members all over the city, to people, residents all over the city. And it's just a unique place, right? It's just not a Japanese garden, but also an opportunity to learn more about water and
Yeah, with new advanced water treatment program coming in line now, it'd be nice to get the program, we're there for 33 years now, educating the public about, again, every tour we go around, overlook the plant process itself. We have television in the lobby now to address education of the public and also cultural events. It was put there as part of the planning department to educate the public on what we're doing there at that site.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. I think that helps clear the record, just so it's put in context that this is money in the Public Works Trust Fund that's generated by the Japanese Garden. We're just providing the funding mechanism for you to pay your bills. So, fair enough. Any further questions? Is there a motion on this agenda item by Commissioner Rivas? I'll second it along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 12. Any issue sending 12 forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith.
Thank you.
Yep. Agenda item number 13, requested contract award in Council District 1, North Central Animal Services Center Phase 2. This was a rebid, recommending that the board declared Ford EC Incorporated the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and awarded them a contract for the project for $18,875,000 and authorized myself or two members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney, Alan Kawaguchi, on number 13. Alan, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, President James,
Here
Commissioners.
we are at long last.
Long last.
Yes, on this one.
Again, my name is Alan Kawaguchi. I'm the program manager for Proposition for Animal Bond Facilities. The city engineer is requesting that the board award the contract for the North Central Animal Shelter to the lowest responsive bidder, 4DC, for $18,875,000. Some background on the project. This project is located on 3201 North Lacey Street. This shelter services Council Districts 1, 13, and 14. The scope of the work is to renovate approximately 37,000 square feet of administration building and add an additional 4,500 square feet. This is a rebid project. The first bids were actually bid back in February of 2015. We did receive 8 bids at the time. All 8 bids were rejected due to incomplete bid documentations, and they were all coming in higher than the city engineer's estimate. The project was redesigned, and we had gone back out to bid back in March of 22nd. 2 bids were received. Both bids were higher than the city engineer's estimate by 68%. It's a large number. Because the bids were so high, the Bureau of Engineering did do an analysis or take a look at the bids. What we found in the bids coming in high is that the plumbing and electrical mechanical works were as much as 3 times higher than the city engineer's estimate. But this is due currently to the amount of building activity that's happening in the city. Several of the general contractors we spoke to had said that they realize it's a resource issue, that they are bringing in workers from out of state because a lot of the workers here are currently busy with all the building that's going on. Another area that we found was, again, pile foundation work. No local pile foundation companies actually bid on the job, and that's because a lot of them are busy with the high-rise buildings that you see going up. HVAC systems in the project, we noticed came in 3 times high. We spoke to the general contractors. They didn't understand why it was coming in that high, but they said that's what the bids they got. For the 2 bidders that we had, that was both of their reasons. In general, general contractors saying is they're seeing about 35% increase from their subcontractors. The pledge for this project at this point, MBE is 12.38%, WBE is 0.57%, SBE is 28.96%, EBE is 14.82%, DVBE is 0%, and OBE is 16%. We did contemplate about rebidding the project. At this time, we felt there's no guarantee that we're going to get a lower bid. We would also lose anywhere from 6 to 8 months in rebidding the project.
Well, given the market right now, you could get another higher bid.
And that was my last comment.
I mean, if you look at the market, if you look at the other bid right now, the other bid was $21 million.
Correct. And we did get encouragement from CD 13 and 14. This services their areas. They're anxious to get this project going. In discussion with the CAO, they're the ones that actually came up with the delta difference for us. So there is a want. And so, again, that's why we're recommending that we award this contract to 4DC.
Look, I remember the kind of the thinking behind the rebid, and, you know, hindsight's 20/20. But I just think there's too much risk to do it again. We have intel now that we didn't have then.
That is correct.
And look, we've got a window that I understand that the CAO's office can cover with funding. That window may not be that large if we go out to rebid and the numbers aren't where they are today.
That's correct. They're pretty sure scraping everything they can. They're defeasing the bonds. They were able to collect money from the defeasing of the bonds and be able to reallocate it to this project. So again, if we don't award, they may defease it, so that money that they found today may not be available tomorrow. A good example, we did have Fire Station 39 that we virtually canceled bids in January. We didn't do any of the plans. We immediately rebid it, and within that time, the bids went up by $1 million. It went from about 13.5 to 14.5. Yeah. So yes.
And this is a service that is important to the residents of the city of Los Angeles.
Absolutely, because again, we've been requested if we could shut the shelter down during the construction, and all 3 council districts said this shelter has to stay active, and that's one of the reasons why the bids are high, is because it is going to continue to stay in operation. So we're bringing trailers out to move the entire staff into trailers. So that's another challenge that we have, but again, that shows you, I think, the need of the shelter itself.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning.
I also just wanted to chime in favor of moving forward as opposed to rebidding. I think the staff time that it also takes us to put together new bids and go, it's not nothing.
That's true.
I don't see the construction market slowing down anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah. So the one thing I do appreciate about this bid, and I see our friends at Ford in the room, is the good minority business inclusion, small business inclusion, emerging business inclusion. The numbers look pretty good to me on this. So they were part of our Small Business Advisory Committee, and appreciate the diversity included in the bid. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, a couple of things. I know that even when we started years ago, it was at 11 million. Now it has gone up some, and we're not even able to get it within the engineer's bid. So clearly, the decision is very clearly written on the wall in terms of moving forward, because to delay even further, you can only go up. There's no way you can go down based upon the trend. And in terms of the diversity, it does look very diverse, and I can have a great appreciation for that. I was just curious in terms of the usage of Bavin. Did we use Bavin in
Yes.
we did use
That was used, Bavin was used.
Okay. I know, because you had mentioned that some of the people were unavailable for the subs who did certain piping work.
We
plumbing
contacted a lot of them, and again, a lot of them are busy on the high-rise buildings that are going to pile foundation, but even your electricals and plumbing and mechanicals, a lot of them are being tied up on other projects. I mean, there's a lot of work out there right now, and so those subcontractors are doing those jobs, and like I said, they're looking into resource issues right now.
Well, overall, I'm satisfied with the effort that has been made. It looks like much energy was put into the diversity, and that we can move forward and begin to get this thing done.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Thank you, Alan, for the work on this. To the folks from Ford that are here, thank you for being here and always willing to ask or to answer our questions forthright. So I appreciate that. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 13. Is there a second by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 13. Any issue sending 13 forthwith? We will send number 13 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, guys. Agenda item number 14, specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council Districts 3 and 15 for the bridge preventative maintenance for Tampa Avenue, Peterson Avenue, and Vermont Avenue. The estimate's $125,964, and the bid receipt date's Wednesday, August 9th, 2017. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item 14 forthwith? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 15. The mayor has approved and authorized the board to execute a personal services contract between the city and Bronner Group, LLP. This is for the Public Works Trust Fund Nexus Study and Policy Development Review for 6 months at an amount not to exceed $140,000. This was summarized by Dr. Campos with us a few days ago. Is there a second to my, and this has come back really quickly, which I'm happy to see. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item 15 forthwith? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 16, an oral report regarding transportation project status update on various metro projects. I know that we have Mr. Clark and Mr. Baker. Mr. Clark, before we start, let me thank you and your team that is here from Metro for your patience this morning. We put oral reports at the back of an agenda because of voting issues and sometimes quorum issues. And today we were just going to do the people that, out of respect for them, that wanted that we were going to honor today, we were going to honor them as soon as we could. So we really appreciate your patience in working with us this morning. I know that it's taken up time from your collective days, and that's valuable time. So I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, President James. And I just want to say I was actually glad I got to see Ron Lorenzen being honored, because I've worked with him, and I echo everything that was said. He's a real professional and a pleasure to work with, and we're going to miss him at Metro too.
Thank you.
So we'll go through in the interest of time. We'll be relatively quick. I just want to say overall, Metro is working hard now on its Measure M program also. We're going to focus on the projects we have under construction now, but we're working hard on Measure M. We're taking our guidelines for spending to the board tomorrow, and working on planning for a number of projects in the city of LA. That includes the new station that will connect to the People Mover at LAX, grade separations on the Orange Line in the San Fernando Valley, the East San Fernando Valley Light Rail Corridor along Van Nuys, and the West Santa Ana branch, among others. So they're moving through planning now, but it won't be long before they become what I call real projects when the dirt starts flying. So we're going to go through our major projects today. We're going to start with Regional Connector, go to Crenshaw, and then our Purple Line sections 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to ask Gary Baker to come up and present the Regional Connector status.
Mr. Baker, welcome back, sir.
Thank you. President James, members of the board, glad to be here this morning. Glad to be here talking about the project rather than seeking another street closure.
Were you on vacation the day that we had the last one?
I was.
Convenient for you, sir.
I listened in, and thank you for your support.
We missed you, but we got it through. So go ahead.
Thank you. Just like to begin the presentation this morning, the first slide here, talking a little bit about a milestone of our project, and that's the breakthrough of our tunnel machine into the Bunker Hill Station. And some of you may have been present there. I apologize for the brief delay we had, but it is a milestone of our project. Turning over to the next slide there, we have the TBM has now gone through. The Bunker Hill Station is on its way down to 4th Street. And so that marks the completion of the first tunnel. You've recently approved weekend closures, 8 of them, I believe, at 4th Street and Flowers, so we can pull the machine out of the ground. That will happen the week after the July 4th holiday. And then when we relaunch the machine, and we look forward to celebrating 50% progress on the project with you sometime the first quarter of next year. Turning then to the historic Broadway station location, just wanted to thank the board for all of the help that you gave us to obtain the necessary street closures. We've reopened the street on May 2nd, or May 7th, I guess, and now the work is focused underground. You can see some of the pictures there, some of the major utility work. I think we're all surprised at the amount of effort it takes to get the street restored and begin the construction underground, and we're just appreciative for the efforts and the patience that you showed to the project for that. Quickly turning to the Flower Street project, we continue to be actively engaged with the community here. 2 weeks ago, as you just mentioned, or 3 weeks ago, President James, we closed the 6th Street, and I know that was a tough decision for the city. We did some traffic studies, actually some kind of rolling car studies before and after the closure. Just wanted to report back the peak hours in the morning, not very much impact. The peak hours in the PM and the afternoon was significantly impacted the first week. Last week, or we did another survey this Monday, and the traffic is almost back to normal. It takes about 3 minutes to go from 3rd Street to Wilshire. I think that's also attributed to the fact that we had a lane reduction at 4th Street in preparation for TBM removal, and so now I think the vehicles that are that don't need to get off at Flower Street there are finding other ways around. And then we kind of anticipated a couple weeks for the commuters to acclimate, and that seems to be proving out. We continue to work with DOT and looking at some options to reroute buses to free up some more capacity there. But I think early indications are it's a good news story that all of the studies and advanced work with DOT has paid dividends, and so that's.
Gary, I was going to mention that, just to interrupt you for a moment. It seems, you always hate to jump the gun on something like this, but it seems like this went better than anticipated in the beginning. Recognizing the first week's always going to be a challenge. But I thought the first week was going to be the first month, and it hasn't proven to be that. And I think part of it may be, this is anecdotal, but this outreach effort was one of the best outreach efforts for a street closure, and maybe it benefited by the fact that it was such a high-profile street closure, so the news agencies carried it. But maybe there's an element of the downtown resident and the downtown employee have trained themselves to the fact that we're building a major subway line right now, and accommodations are being made, and it's working well given the circumstances.
Yes, I would agree, and compliments to our outreach team, Olga, for all your work and advertising and advance work that was done with Caltrans and others to divert
I think
traffic.
it made a real difference here. It was.
But we continue to
good
monitor
work.
this because it is still a concern, but we believe we're headed in the right direction, and DOT is continuing to, they did a lot of reprogrammed traffic signals around. They did a lot of work behind the scenes that really helped us out, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it too. We just, fewer phone calls and those kinds of things to our bureaus, and to us.
Just quickly touching on the outreach efforts, as I mentioned, we remain actively engaged with the community. Kind of three major areas there. The public engagement activities of note is the approval from the community of the tree replacement and restoration plans along Flower Street. That's been a challenge for us, but something that we've got the community input on and have their support. The construction impact mitigations we just talked about from a construction mitigation, but this is the Business Assistance Center, we call it, and this is an opportunity for us to help small businesses develop online marketing and business work plans. It's another one of the outreach efforts that Metro provides. And then I think we've already talked about some of the public outreach associated with the street closures. We've also continuing our community leadership council meetings and remain very active, especially along the Flower Street corridor and Little Tokyo areas. Olga is here if you have any specific questions about that. And then turning to the last slide, Paula Carbajal is here representing our Business Interruption Fund. Just to provide a quick summary, we've had to date 136 applications, 114 grants approved for $2.4 million. This represents since December, so 6 months of this year, about $870-some thousand worth of additional grants. The total grants have split between Little Tokyo area of up to $1.5 million, and then Second and Broadway area just a little over $900,000. So we continue to work with the small businesses in those areas and grant them financial assistance where we can. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer them, but thank you again for your support.
Just a quick question, Gary, on the grant, the Business Interruption Fund grant process. Pardon my ignorance on it, but so if a business gets a grant, does that mean that their opportunity for grant money it's then exhausted, or are there circumstances that could warrant a second application for additional funding, given who knows what type of circumstances might create that? Hi.
Hello, I'm Paula Carvajal, and I can answer that question. So the way that the Business Interruption Fund program works is that businesses can apply up to $50,000 per impact year. So if their first grant is $20,000 based on their revenue loss for that current construction impact, then they would still be eligible to apply for an additional $30,000 for that year.
Great, thank you. That's helpful. Any other questions on Regional Connector before we move on? Okay. Mr. Clark? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. My name is Kimberly Young with the Crenshaw LAX project, and given I think everyone here has background on the project, so we'll go to the next slide. And this is a snapshot, a 3-month snapshot for traffic closures. We're continuing with the construction very similar to last time I reported, and the traffic closures that we have continue on Crenshaw Boulevard as we continue with our at-grade construction, as well as the southern part of the Crenshaw, the cut and covered tunnel. And we also, at the south end of the project in the city of LA, we also have some traffic closures there as well. One of them being with the 405 freeway. Now that we've completed the construction of that bridge, we will need to take down that false work, and we're projecting late July, early August, having a closure of the 405 freeway so we can do that. The next several slides are just some construction snapshots.
Sorry, the closure of the 405, could you just, what?
So, that's why I wanted to bring that to your attention. So the 405 freeway, if you've driven on the 405 freeway, you may have noticed that there's false work, there's supporting structure that our bridge needed when we constructed the bridge. Now that the bridge is constructed, we need to take that down. In order to do that safely, what we have been working with Caltrans, who accepted our proposal of 2 sets of closures. So for each direction, one northbound and one southbound, we are looking at having night closures. So we're not looking at doing a Carmageddon where we shut the entire freeway down and inconvenience everybody. What we're looking at is one direction at a time, say the northbound 5 nights, and then we'll switch over to the other side 5 nights.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So the next couple of slides are show some pictures of some of our construction. We've finished our tunneling with Harriet. I reported that last time, and so now we're continuing with our station construction as well as our cross passages, and that work is going very well. That's in our north section. For the middle section in segment B, we're continuing with our Park Mesa at grade construction, our tunnel, and also with our station construction as well at Fairview Heights and downtown Inglewood. And then in the south end of the project in segment C, there's some pictures. One of them is actually of the 405 bridge showing our last concrete deck pour, and then also our underground one by the airport. We're working on our partially covered trench there, as well as we're continuing work with our MSC walls. And also we're continuing with our track construction as well. Now that our structures are built, we can lay our track not only on our at-grade sections, but also our structures as well. That concludes my presentation, unless there's any questions.
Any questions at all on the Crenshaw line section of the presentation? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, President James, board members. My name is Jim Cohen. I'm the project manager for Section 1 of the Purple Line. Your first slide is just a general overview. Just a reminder that the Purple Line is made up of 3 segments. We have 7 stations, 9 miles. We pick up at the existing terminus of the Purple Line at Wilshire Western and end up over by the VA hospital. Next. As far as Section 1, we are 4 miles with 3 stations. Again, we start and pick up at the existing terminus at Wilshire Western. We have a station at La Brea, Fairfax, and then enter the city of Beverly Hills with Wilshire La Cienega. This is just a slide with some details. Again, I mentioned the 3 stations. Our budget for Section 1 is a little over $3 billion. We expect to be operating in revenue service in November of 2023. This is just a simple bar chart at where we are on the La Brea station. If you look on the 4th row down under station excavation and shoring, so that large bar, we're about 50% excavated under the street at La Brea right now. This next slide just shows you the current activities at La Brea. We are excavating. We're putting whalers and strut installation, which hold back the walls in order for us to construct the station. The upper photograph shows you the struts going across and some of the utilities that are being hung. The lower picture is we have some tiebacks going in. This would be at the future station entrance at La Brea proper. We expect to have the station fully excavated by the end of December. Another bar chart slide showing where we are at Fairfax. If you go to the third row down, decking, we just completed the decking, and that's the status of Fairfax. We're starting to do some of our excavation now. Photograph on the upper photograph is, I think, the last deck beam going in across Wilshire Boulevard, and the lower photograph is just showing some of the utilities being hung. The big corrugated metal objects is the ventilation that we have to protect the workers there. I would like to note we completed the decking operation 5 weeks early. It took us 13 weeks instead of 5 weeks. And I'd like to thank the various departments around this table. They were instrumental in supporting us and getting us to finish the 5 weeks early. And I would also like to mention Department of Water and Power. We're also out there on every weekend to help us just in case some power or water utilities that we did not know about were discovered. So 5 weeks early, thank you all for your support. And that's all I have. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
Great. It's, I was there for and Rick, please pass on my thanks to Gary and Brian on the hosting at the entrance of the tunnel boring machine at the regional connector. What's interesting from these photos is the amount of work that is being done at the Wilshire stations along the way. I pass by them so regularly, but I'm in my car, I'm paying attention to the road, I'm not knowing what's going on the other side of the fence. It's amazing work you all do. It's incredible. It's expensive, but we get it. But it's incredible stuff, and I think it would be good for me to check some of that out whenever you think the time is right. It just helps put things in context.
All right, and Dan's going to be speaking on sections 2 and 3.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, President James, board members, Bureau representatives, council, and Mr. Executive Officer. My name is Dan Kumar. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for Purple Line Sections 2 and 3. Following up a little bit on what Jim said, obviously Purple Line is made up of 3 segments. Jim reported on Section 1. Now we'll talk a little bit about Sections 2 and 3. Section 2 extends Section 1 from where it's proposed to be terminated at Wilshire and La Cienega in Beverly Hills. It extends the project in Beverly Hills and then terminates in Century City, just inside City of Los Angeles boundaries. The project is 2.59 miles approximately. It consists of twin bored tunnels and 2 new stations, one in Beverly Hills at Wilshire Rodeo, and the other one in Century City and Constellation Boulevard near Century Park East. The budget's $2.5 billion, and the forecast completion date is August of 2025. And the notice to proceed was issued to Tudor Perini O&G on April 26th of 2017. What's currently going on in the field, there's some utility relocations occurring. Telecommunication lines are being relocated, and they have been being relocated for some time. They're about 90% complete and anticipated to be completed in June, this month. And after they're completed, we'll be cable pulling and splicing new cable to activate the lines. As soon as the joint trench, the telecommunication lines are completed, Southern California Gas will be mobilizing. They'll be doing work at nights. They're proposed to start in July of this year. AT&T will also start in July of this year, but they'll be working during the day. And currently, DWP Power is working during the days. They're going to be transitioning into nights here pretty soon. They started in May of 2017, and DWP Water has been working since May 6th, and they're proposed to be completed in July, a month early, which is nice. The next slide is a very basic schedule which talks about the major points of the project. Obviously, we're in quarter 2 of 2017. We're currently on the street with public comment for our supplemental environmental impact statement. Public comments, I believe, conclude mid-July. As I mentioned earlier, contract procurement, we issued notice to proceed in April, so we're 2 months into the construction phase. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing advanced utility relocations, and although this bar appears to be very long and continues into the year 2020, actual construction work is proposed to be completed by March of 2018, and the remainder of that bar is cable pulling and splicing, as I mentioned before, the joint trench, the telecommunication lines, and also AT&T lines. There's a healthy amount of cable pulling and splicing that will occur in the area. We just issued notice to proceed, so final design is occurring. With the exception of utility relocations, there's not a lot of construction activity going on right now as final design proceeds. But major construction will start in the first quarter of next calendar year, with tunneling scheduled to start in early 2019. Section 3. Section 3 extends the line from Century City westerly towards the VA hospital, which is just west of the 405 freeway. Section 3 is 2.59 miles long. It consists of twin bored tunnels and adds 2 new stations to the line, one at the Westwood UCLA station, which is at Wilshire and Westwood Boulevard, and the last station, which is at the VA hospital parking lot just west of the 405. The budget is $3.48 billion, and excuse me, the revenue service date completion has not yet been established, as we await the decision for the Olympics for our area in September. But it will be consistent with the Section 2 completion, which, as I mentioned earlier, was scheduled for late 2025. What's occurred since the last time we met? On April 10th, we issued a request for proposals for a construction management contract. Proposals were due on May 25th, and those proposals are currently being evaluated. On April 19th, a request for qualifications and request for proposals was issued for the tunnel contract. We separated this project delivery into 3 separate contracts. So the tunnel contract, and we'll see on the next slide, the tunnel contract is but one of those elements. We issued the request for qualifications and request for proposals for that contract in May. I believe we've received qualification statements already, and those statements are currently being evaluated. And I'll talk a little bit about when we expect those to be completed on the next slide. On April 28th, we requested to enter into engineering with the FTA, which is an important part of the project funding stage. On May 31st, we issued invitation for bids, or as you're used to hearing, project was advertised for bids. That was on May 31st, and we're proposed to receive bids on July 10th. And the third phase, or the third contract that will deliver this project, is the station contract. That request for qualifications and request for proposals will be issued later this summer. This next slide is a fairly busy slide. I don't want to talk about the whole thing. The top of the slide really just shows the relationship for what we on the project have to do with our funding partners, the FTA. What I think your board might be more interested in are the last 3 sort of colored bars on this phase, which talk about the construction contracts for the project. But I'm happy to talk about it all. So the third from the bottom is the tunnel contract. As I mentioned, we issued that RFP, RFQ in May of this year, and if you follow this bar along, there's a lot of information, but basically we're proposing to issue notice to proceed for that tunneling contract in April of next calendar year. The advanced utility relocation contract, as I mentioned, has already hit the street. We're proposing to issue the notice to proceed for that work in November of this year. And as I previously mentioned, the station contract, we haven't issued that RFP, RFQ yet, but we plan to do so later this summer. And off of the page, the notice to proceed is proposed to be issued in approximately April of 2019. That concludes my presentation, unless there's any questions. A lot of information. Thank you.
I do have a question. Going back a little bit to the Century City, the telecom work that's being done.
Yes.
It's fairly recent that trench has been in place right off Constellation. I just happened to be there last night and noticed it and saw the just some of the activity around it. That working community is not as attuned to this kind of construction going on, it seems to me, as the downtown working community yet. How are those new traffic management plans, how are they working so far, recognizing that they're pretty young?
Well, many of you may not know that I worked on Regional Connector for a few years, so I'm fairly familiar with the stakeholders that you're talking about. Downtown, that are very sophisticated stakeholders, and we spent a great deal of time talking to those stakeholders at that time, and I think Metro has done a great job bringing some of those stakeholders along, describing what work is going to be performed, and really sort of holding their hand on what to expect and what some of their options are in the area. For the Purple Line and in Century City, we're doing a lot of the same things. We have a very
similar type businesses there, yeah.
Very similar, and with similar building needs, quite frankly.
Right.
We have a very robust outreach program. We have a very good relationship, I believe, with the building stakeholders, the building owners, and the building management companies, and we're working closely with them as we get these traffic control plans through Department of Transportation and with our partners in the Bureau of Engineering. We go outreach with the stakeholders. We tell them what to expect. We tell them what our plans are. We work closely with them to come up with any mitigations that we may need to do to help them. But for the most part, a lot of the work is being done at night, which also helps them because their businesses, for the most part, and they're mostly daytime activities. So they're more impacted during the day. Some of the work that's currently being done in the day, we've taken that approach, and it seems to be successful. We have a good working relationship with them.
Okay, thank you. We'll see how it goes. Thank you. Anything further, colleagues? Okay, thank you. The oral report will be received. We appreciate everyone. And again, thank you for your patience today. Thank you. Dr. Campbell, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.